Welcome to the Getting Real with Hilary show, where ordinary heroes tell extraordinary stories during unique and never been heard before conversations with your host, Hilary Arno Burns. Hilary's unique listening and way of asking questions results in conversations that aren't usually talked about, so you can create the life that you really want but are afraid you can't really have. We are demonstrating the greatness in the human spirit and creating a world where we all reclaim our birthright of joy, happiness, purpose, and passion. Now, here's your host, Hilary Arno Burns. Welcome to the Getting Real with Hilary show, and today we have a very special guest. We have Andrea Tait, who is a licensed physical therapist for children with special needs, a girls tennis coach, a wellness coordinator, a holistic health and wellness coach, and a life coach for teens and adults. But today we're going to be talking about Andrea's book, Love Yourself Back to Life. It's a new book, and we're just going to have a great conversation. So welcome, Andrea.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here to get real and talk about all of the things.
Yes, that's right. You do a lot of things. And I know I think I want to start with at the beginning of the book. I'm not telling anything out that they won't find out in the beginning chapter, the first page of your book, but that you had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And I think for other people, I think sometimes we all think we're having one. Like, how did you know that, this is really it and I got to get to the hospital? Like,
that's a great question. So it was that feeling of, just something wasn't right. And I think as women, we oftentimes kind of dismiss what we have because we can just push through things and we got to take care of everybody else. But in that moment, I was just relaxing and out to dinner. So I kind of tapped into my intuition and it was like impending doom. Something isn't right. And then the crushing feeling across my chest, which was definitely more than any kind of GI situation that I've had in the past. And I knew something wasn't right. And the pounding voice was, I'm telling you, I think it was the Holy Spirit said, get to the urgent care right now. Go.
Wow.
And it was like, and then it was just an out of body experience for the next 4 hours completely. So women, listen to your bodies.
Yes. I know I interviewed someone, she was 33. She had just had a baby and she would have died. When she got to the hospital, they were like, no, go. They were trying to send her home. And there was one woman who said she's having a heart attack. And that woman saved her life because everyone else was like, no, you're fine. Yeah.
Well, because we always don't want to run to the emergency room every time we have a small ache and pain. But if something isn't going away and getting worse, don't try to muscle through, especially with anything cardiac related.
That's what it was definitely like the pressure,
Yes, it was pressure. It was just like a crushing pressure and a pain that was radiating outward and up my neck. And I knew that it wasn't, being a physical therapist, at first I thought it was my upper back. I'm like, oh, I'm slouching too much. Or it might be my neck. I had herniated disc in my neck. I thought it was that. But then it just started from here getting worse and worse up, and then down the arms. And I knew, oh my God, something isn't right.
Yeah. Now you said it was a SCAD.
Yes.
SCAD heart attack. And that, I'm just quoting you, that you gave it to yourself.
I know that's a tough pill to swallow because in, doing the research after I had this heart attack, which was, it stands for a spontaneous coronary artery dissection. So it's not a typical heart attack where you have issues in the heart muscle or you have underlying disease in the coronary arteries. It was the artery just literally collapsed on itself and fractured open. And after I'd gone to my regular cardiologist here in the Rochester area, then I went to the Mayo Clinic, and then I went out to a holistic cardiologist out in Arizona and had so many blood tests run and was tested for FMD, which is another underlying connective tissue situation. But I was negative for everything.
So this was afterwards to try to find out why?
Try to figure out why did this happen? Because I don't have high cholesterol. I don't have high blood pressure. There's not heart disease in my family. So going through all of that, I had then met with a spiritual counselor who here in Rochester, And we talked about how anger and stress and anxiety really do affect the actual arteries and our heart chakra center, our heart center. And it was 2020 after the election. COVID was here. I wasn't in work. And so there was a lot of stress and anxiety just in the world and in my personal life. And all of that angst and anger right in here, it was just, I could not get out of my own way, perseverating on thoughts about what's happening and just being super stressed. So it all came down to stress and anxiety. And it was just an emotional, spiritual attack on myself, really.
Wow. Now, I had a friend, I don't know if it's the same one. She sneezed. She said it was like a rip. So is that the
It could be
same
the very
thing?
same thing. Yes.
Yeah. So she had no heart problems, but had the heart attack.
Yeah.
And her doctors didn't even know what it was.
Yeah. I'm
Like they had
lucky enough.
never heard of that.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to be in an area where there's, a fantastic medical school right here, 20 miles away, the U of R in Rochester, and, great cardiology program. And so I was lucky to be right there.
Wow.
Honestly, yeah. I feel like it didn't really happen to me because I'm just talking about it like I'm talking about someone else.
Yeah.
I'm like detached.
Well, how many years ago was it?
That
How
was
many
4
ago?
years ago.
Right, because you
Yeah.
said it was 2020. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And then there was another time in your life where I think you did something physical. What
There's so
was
many
it?
things. Oh, I had torn my rotator cuff from work in a work related injury. Yes.
Right.
So it was torn bicep tendon and rotator cuff tear. It was really significant. And so I had to have that repaired. And I was out of work for 4 months. And during that same time, while trying to muscle through that, because I do not like to take medication. So I was, put myself in that position of trying to figure out how to get through. And then my father suddenly got ill and passed away during that time frame. And so I don't know if anyone who's dealing with grief and losing up, anyone that they love, grief is hard enough, but grief with the loss of function of a body part and chronic pain all together just makes, just like a toxic madness that was going on inside of me. Like I couldn't handle it. It was so much that was going on at the same
And
time.
when was that?
That was December 2022.
Oh, that was after. Oh my
Yes.
God. Oh my God. Okay.
Hits just keep on coming, Hilary.
And I'm laughing. Good
Yeah.
for you.
Makes us
Okay.
stronger, right?
Yeah. So, wow. Okay. So when did you have, I know in this book, you have your different steps and you talk about how, when we're not taking care of ourselves and we could have a heart attack or whatever. And I know, it's not funny, but that you are the one that takes care of all these other people in terms of their health and wellness, and you're a coach and all that
Yeah.
stuff. What was it, the heart attack that had you say enough? I mean, had you been, I'll just say calmer or like, was it, and I know, I could be calm. I could be great. I was great. I walked into the house
I can be calm.
after my trip. Um,
Yeah.
and then, my daughter had taken my green screen and I lost my shit, started screaming.
Yeah.
And, so anything can trigger it. But like,
Yes,
would you say
absolutely.
you've had calmer parts and these were just bad times where you weren't aware at the time that you weren't, I know your thing is, when when you're in your mind, you're not present
Yeah.
and we need to connect. I don't know. I'll just paraphrase to your heart.
Yeah.
Like, would you say you've had times in your heart and these were just bad times that caused
I,
all the stress?
yeah, prior to 2020, I had my divorce, which was several years before that, and that was stressful. But going through that process, and I'm a mother, so not when I didn't have my daughter, I dove into like spiritual work and my spiritual journey. So I learned how to, meditate and pray, and then I started to teach meditation and mindfulness, and at the different places that I've worked, and that's why I became a wellness coordinator. So I had that going on for me, and I felt like I was very balanced and grounded. I had good self-awareness, was able to regulate myself and my nervous system. But 2020, building up to that, that was such a shock when that happened because everybody was out of work. And I'll just say it, I didn't believe any of the scene that was going on. And I just wasn't buying it. And my daughter was she was a sophomore. So I work at the school district that she goes to school at, and seeing her have to be home away from her friends and everybody losing their shit about everything. It was like her and I and, Jeff were just like, what the hell? Why are we doing this? So it was that, and being in New York State was worse than being where our family was in the South. Everybody's opening back up again, and people are living, and we're like trapped and locked down still. And so that was just this like, push and this tug of war of what is going on in the matrix of the world and what is reality to me. And I think that's what did it.
So
Honestly.
did you feel like, just to understand, you felt like you weren't being told the truth?
Yes. My discernment was just kind of really blaring up about it. And I was like, something is not right. None of this is right. And, then they're trying to push the vaccine on everybody. And my daughter was like, I'm not getting that. She made that decision for herself. And now they're coming out and saying, I don't want to get on that. I don't want to get on that train, but
Right.
the push for all of that. And now everyone's retracting all of that. So, knowing that, like, I didn't believe it to begin with, but everyone's pushing on us. I felt like it was the three of us against so many other people. And you can only shoulder that so much and push and fight so much before there's going to be a break in something. And I couldn't stay off social media like a lot of people. I couldn't stay off the news. It just was really difficult to stay balanced and grounded during that time. We were trapped at home, and I'm like, I can't, this is nuts.
Yeah.
So that was the time period for me that said, after that happened, like, wow, I got to take a huge step back. I can't control the world. I can control myself.
I remember, when after 9/11, I was expecting it to happen every day, and I was a nutcase. And I remember my chiropractor was like, you have to get a grip on yourself because you're out of control. So I stopped watching the news.
Yeah, that's exactly the perfect way to put it.
I had to. It was making me insane. Like, on every quarter, I expected terrorists, like,
yeah.
He's like, this is not healthy. So I stopped watching because when I don't watch it, it's not in my.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Real,
I can just have a joy, peace-filled life, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So when you decided, when you went back, obviously you were disconnected from your spiritual, your mindfulness, and your balance.
Yeah.
Was it the heart attack that had you go like,
oh God, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And when you say, in the book, you talk about, when we listen to our mind, when we're mind controlled. And I think, and I've been studying this for a while, a lot of transformation. So I know that our thoughts are not our friends. They want us to survive. They want to protect us. They keep us small. Yeah. And they're very negative.
Yes.
And if you don't know that that's not the truth, if you listen to them, I don't know how people go on. A lot of times I get stuck listening to them. Like today, we're in our last quarter in sales. All these people canceled, and I'm like, I'm screwed. I'm
gonna fail. They're gonna take my house away, my car, everything's over.
I might as well quit.
No good.
Yeah, might as well quit. And then I was like, okay, what could I create instead? Like, I know I could create a different reality other than listening to my thoughts. I'm like, okay, I'm going to create miracles, empowerment. Yeah. But that's taken years
for sure
to get to that point.
Oh God, yes, it is.
I even do TikToks where I create the day, and I'm like, well, I could create resignation and despair. That's what I'm feeling, but I'm going to create empowerment instead.
Yeah.
So how did you first start recognizing that the mind is not our friend and that it was running you? Where do you think that came from?
I just think, that was prior to, during the divorce time. And, I write about it in the book when my daughter had gone away. And it's tough to be a divorced parent when your child has to go to their other parent because you don't have them anymore, right? For that time period. And I was just so depressed, but trying to like shove everything else on top of it, working out too much, working too much, binge eating, drinking, doing whatever I needed to do to not feel that, to narcotize myself. But it was just this one day that I had woken up in the morning, I'll say it because it's in the book. I went out and had some drinks, and I woke up and I was on the bathroom floor, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Like I'm telling myself this terrible victim story and I don't feel good. My thoughts are not making me feel good. The
And what
stress,
was your victim story? I want to see if it's the same as mine. Go
I'm a
ahead.
loser. I got divorced. My daughter, she's never going to talk to me. As she gets older, she's going to figure out what happened. That I couldn't hold it together enough to be married still. I can't believe I'm living in my parents' house. I, had to move out of my other house that I bought. All the things. I'm having to work 2 jobs to take care of everything now because I'm divorced and have to fight for money in custody. And I'm not good enough. Why did I do this? It's these low self-worth. I'm not good enough. And I, said in that moment, I thought, you know what? I'm telling other people, other women to not feel this way. Why am I doing this to myself? And I was sick of just feeling that way and talking down to myself. So, in that moment, I started to have a mindset shift it was just like another aha, like Holy Spirit, like mindset of, well, you know what? You could look at it like when you don't have her, that's time to get close to God. Because you've just been not doing that at all. You're so busy running around in frazzles. And when you have her, it's 100% you and her. When you don't have her, use this time. It's time to regroup, heal yourself, and get stronger. And do something with this.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. It was just
it's reminding me. I don't know why this came to mind, but I was having a massage and the guy left me in the room, and you change, you get ready, and he's not coming back. And I'm just like freaking out, and I'm imagining myself running down the hallways naked, yelling, where are you? Why aren't you coming back? And so when he finally came back, I told him, I was like, and he goes, oh, you could have been lying there relaxing.
Look at it.
Like
Look at
having
it,
a relaxing.
What are we doing to ourselves?
And I was like, well, instead, I'm imagining running down the hallways naked, yelling for him, like,
right. We can't take that time. Like you couldn't take that time to just relax. Right.
And I still get that way. Hello, I'm ready. Where are you?
It's the hurried and scurried.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Okay. So when you had that moment, do you think you really did have that mindset shift?
I did it. It was just like this. I'm sick of myself. I am sick of myself. Sick of feeling this way. And I just wanted to not do this because, I also, and I'm sure you feel this way too, God has given us gifts. And I was not using my gifts other than to just have a big old pity party that no one else was coming to. And I was sick of going to that party. So I said, enough of this. And it just was like a light bulb moment for me. It really was. And then I went and purchased 1 million books on Amazon on God and spiritual, all the things, because I had to change it up.
And that was your first time changing it up?
Yeah. In a major way.
Wow. Okay. And how long ago was that?
That was in 2007. 2007.
Okay. So that's I can't even do the math. 17 years, I think. Okay.
Too many years ago, right?
Yeah. Now, can I ask you, and you could say, no, I'm not going to talk about that, but why you act like the divorce was your fault? Was that just the victim speaking, or was it?
I think it was because I couldn't make it happen, and I didn't want her to have a broken home. And I feel like
You couldn't make what happen?
I couldn't continue the marriage, right? He didn't want to get divorced, but I felt like something inside of me was dying, staying married to this person. You know the deal, right?
I got that.
And
my book.
I just was like, I'm not going to become who I need to be with this person. It was a negative drain on my life, and we just weren't matched. And I should have known that, but we all make choices, right? And our purpose was to bring my daughter into this world. So I felt like I was asleep at the wheel and I needed to get out of it, and it just wasn't working out.
So you were the one that brought it about. That's why you say
yes.
it was your fault.
Yeah. So that's where the guilt comes from.
Right.
But I don't look at it like that anymore. I did for a long period of time. And it took me a lot of healing to get through that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I mean, I'll show you my book. I mean, this took me, this is my memoir.
I love that.
And this was about when I was stuck and I really didn't know what to do. I just knew, same thing, that I wasn't the same person who had gotten married, and I didn't like myself at all.
Yeah.
And, in the 7 years it took me to rewrite this,
Mhm.
however, I got to see my responsibility in it, but it was my idea too. And I just knew my soul needed to get out of there,
Yeah. Like my
you know?
spark was dead. Like I didn't have any spark.
Yeah. Yeah.
The light was
So,
dull. And so it was like, all right, you're out. Now what?
yeah.
You're going to go through some real challenges. Oh, well, I guess I signed up for it.
Oh. Did you ever look back and say, I shouldn't have done that, or no?
No, no,
Me neither. Me
no.
neither.
I would have changed certain things along the way and how I did it, how I presented myself, my strength in it. I think those things, but you only know what you know when you know it. And you can't
Right.
fault yourself
Exactly.
for that, for not knowing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. So you've really, now what were you doing before 2007? Were you doing the same work or were you doing different work?
Well, I've been a physical therapist since '99, so I've just been doing physical
Okay.
therapy in schools. But I was starting back then. I was starting with professional development for staff members and doing stress management, conflict resolution between staff, bucket filling. That was early on, and just trying to like up staff morale because I always felt like there was this part in me that my job was to bring joy to other people,
Hmm.
and there's a reason that we all have archetypes, and I think mine's either the court jester or the clown. I'm always wanting to make people happy and laugh, right? So
Oh,
I kind of, as a child, I was that way. I was always the one trying to make everybody feel better, and I don't want anybody to be upset, so I want to make everybody happy. So that just kind of translated to now helping other people find joy and gratitude and getting out of their own way and improving their life.
and yeah. So what was that position called? Are you were at a school?
Yeah, I just was doing it myself. I
So
there
you were like, I never heard of a school having physical
Yeah,
therapy.
so that physical therapist for children, it's part of special ed law. A lot of schools have that. And OT,
Okay.
occupational therapists, speech therapists.
So that was your real job that you got paid for, but then you were
Real
bringing
job.
joy in your spare time
Yes.
and uplifting the morale in your spare time because
Yeah.
that's what called to you. I see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So then how did you start doing these other things after you had the mindset shift?
Yeah. So I had a daughter, and then as she started to get a little bit older, and I worked in the same school with her in the same buildings, and she
Mm.
was becoming that third, fourth, fifth grade, and in sixth grade, I would say more fourth, fifth, and sixth grade. I was noticing some of her friends because I was involved in the community having self-esteem issues, confidence
Mm.
issues at this age. And I started to develop a self-esteem training program. I called Girls Get Set. And so it was a 6-week program that I would do after school with girls, kids her age. And I made her come to every one of them. And we would talk about team building and being a nice friend and respecting yourself and, you know, thinking about like what are your junk thoughts versus your nice thoughts and that what the mind does to us as young girls and how do we compare ourselves, social
Wow.
media. So that started, I would say 2010 and 11, I started to do that. And then that kind of,
Did
as she got
you
older, what was that?
how did you branch into that? I mean, did they pay you or
No,
did you just
nobody's
say,
paying me to do anything.
oh, so you just created it and
Created it,
said,
and I
hey,
said to the
come.
principal, I want to do this after school. And so they're like, sure, if you want to do anything. And so the kids would come and parents would sign up. And so, I mean, I really got to bring that back. That was really popular.
Yeah. I
It was
mean, this is
really
such
fun.
great stuff. That's why I'm just like how does this stuff happen? But yeah, no, it's
And I don't
great.
know. It was just organically in my mind. I'm just getting like these parts of information. Like in the middle of the night, I would get this, do this. And I would wake up in the morning and write it down. And I'd say, oh, well, that's something. Let me research that or how to even do that. And so I just have years of content I've written to help kids and that just kind of like moved into the lower teen years, in the middle school and high school. And then, as she got older, I started coaching tennis because she was in seventh grade. So I started coaching her tennis. There was an opening at the same time. And
Wow.
I love the middle school and high school age group. So
Mm,
helping the girls play tennis, but it was really helping them through middle school years. And that
mm.
kind of worked into a couple parents said, wow, you should really be a mentor for teens. So then I branched into that. And I really enjoy doing that and helping parents, consciously parent their teenagers, and because the teen years are really hard and stressful. So,
And
you know,
how did you know how to do that?
my daughter
Was it
was a
just,
science project.
but
That's right.
like, did you study it or it was just innate? for
I
you?
think it was innate, honestly, and I think it was God's gift to me because raising my daughter in every different phase, I always said I don't want a terrible 13-year-old. I don't want to have a conflictual relationship with her. So that started it too, with connection and time together and not being on my phone and just listening to her, validating her and being there for her and being empathetic as she's getting older. It started as like play therapy, really, with her and I, into after school. She rides to school home with me every day, and we sit and we talk for an hour and a half. What happened today at school? Let's talk about all the friends, all the dramas. Let's talk about the situations. How can we work through stuff? And so that just developed. Her and I have a good relationship because I've just been present for her. So,
and she was willing. Like, she wasn't like, leave me alone, mom, blah, blah, blah.
No.
Wow. And because I don't think it's, I know listening is a gift.
Yes.
And I've been trained in listening, but there are times where I don't listen and I get triggered or whatever, or I don't think what they're doing is right. And, as good as I think I am, I'm not so good in certain times. Like, how did you know to do that? The empathy and the validation and stuff? Because I think it's not natural.
No, right.
Unless
So,
you learned
working with kids in school and having to do behavior management and learning how to talk. It's called responsive classroom. Okay. I think that helped me be a better parent, and being a parent helped me work with kids better too. It was both ways, but sitting and listening and kind of taking a step back, whatever she's going through is not about me. Mm-hmm. And if she has an attitude or a mood, it's not about me. I need to find out what's going on with her so we can work through it together, so I can help her get to the next level of her life and to grow from whatever it is she's going through. That doesn't mean there weren't times where she didn't do something that I didn't approve of, but I'll say, I grew up very authoritative parenting, or my parents were, and punishing and grounding. Mm-hmm. I was oppositional defiant. So I knew that did not work. Mm-hmm. And I would say to her, well, if you're going to go out and do X, Y, and Z, there will be a consequence to that. There's a natural consequence to everything that you do. So I just need you to talk to me and tell me what's going on, and we can work through it together. And I always want you to be honest with me. And then, I'm never going to be mad. I'm not going to be mad at you for being honest with me. I might disapprove of some of the things you're doing, but I'm not going to get nuts, because that doesn't work. Right. So a lot of talking through things. And there have been times where I yelled and got triggered and projected real quick, but it just shut her down. No. I didn't want her to shut down, because I know what happens when kids shut down. And I've seen it. I've seen teen suicide rates go up. I've seen kids at mental health and emotional health issues at the high school because their parents don't talk to them when they get shut down. And I was never wanting that. So I just busted my butt to try to be like, all right, what do you need from me in the moment? And do a lot of reading, a lot of researching on the internet of how to do this the right way.
Wow.
She's texting me right now. What does she want?
Go ahead. Go look.
Can you Venmo me some more money? Oh, for the love. She's in college right now. So
seriously?
She sent me a picture just now of look at Grey's Anatomy. I'm watching that again because we used to watch that together all the time. Yeah. And can you Venmo me some more money for some gear? Jeez.
What kind of gear?
Oh, college stuff. They came out with new sweatshirts,
Oh.
I'm broke.
So where did she go to college? Where is
she goes to University of Erie, Pennsylvania.
Oh. So that's great. So you were already working with kids, so you kind of had a background in that, right? Did you study physical therapy for kids? Like, is that a thing?
Well, you study physical therapy, and then you have different clinical rotations that you do in different areas. And I actually went to school overseas in Scotland, and for my master's, and I did rotations in spinal cord injury, orthopedics, outpatients, geriatrics, cardiovascular, and I turned down the pediatrics, the children, because I said I was never going to work with children and I wasn't going to have any. So I had a different plan. I was like, I don't want to know about kids.
So
Not interested.
So how did you end up working with kids?
Well, when I call myself institutionalized, when all you do is go to school and then go to school and go to school again, you have these
Yeah.
wonderful breaks. 2 weeks off at Christmas, you have summer off. So I worked in outpatient sports medicine for a couple of years, and I said, what do you mean I have to work the day before and the day after Christmas? My family's home. I can't do that. So then I looked for a job in the school districts. That was it.
Wow.
But then I loved it. I love working with kids. They're fun. You can play on the playground with them. And they don't take themselves so seriously. Adults we are just too serious. We don't have enough fun.
So was there a lot of physical therapy to do in the schools with the special ed?
There's a lot of special needs children, yes.
And they need, because of their bodies.
Yes.
They need, oh, wow.
Yeah.
But you never regretted it, right?
No.
Okay.
And all great moves.
Oh, all right. We're going to come back after our commercial break, and we're going to talk more about what you're doing now. All right.
Okay, great.
All right. See you in a minute.
Has social emotional learning become just one more thing on your teachers' plates? Do teachers and students both find it boring and ineffective? Then bring Kikori to your school. Kikori transforms classrooms through experiential SEL activities that help students play, reflect, connect, and grow. Even better, students say it's more fun than recess. Schedule a no-obligation conversation at kikoriapp.com/bringkikori. Kikori.
Do you ever feel like you can't say what you really want to say? Or that you're stuck or in a holding pattern in your relationships, career, personal life, or finances? Are there things you want in life that you've given up on? Are you resigned that this is as good as it's going to get? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then Hilary Burns, host of the Getting Real with Hilary show, has the solution you need. Hilary is a published author of 3 books and has a program called the Getting Real process. This process frees you from what is holding you back, allowing you to create a life you love. Don't believe it? It is hard to believe that it could work, isn't it? The proof is that hundreds of Hilary's clients have used the Getting Real process and are now free to create whatever they want in relationships, career, finances, enjoying life, or just loving themselves more. So go to realtalkwithhilary.com and order Hilary's book, Real Talk, and set up a conversation.
And thank you, as always, to our sponsor, kikoriapp.com. If you want to bring, so you might like this, Andrea. If you want to bring experiential social emotional learning to your schools or your teams or your businesses, Kikori has they're not exercises, but they're activities that you actually experience the emotional connection that may have been lost during COVID. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful company. Check it out at kikoriapp.com. You won't regret it. And it's what our children, I think what all of us are needed, just what Andrea was saying, with the more empathy and the validating and having more social skills. And then my books, I already brought up one of them today. This was my memoir, which talked about when I was stuck in my marriage and didn't really know how to get out. It's kind of my adventures. Not allowed to judge me, but it is very honest. It's very real. This is the book, like Andrea, that I wrote, Real Talk, which talks about my getting real process. And if you're not speaking up, I have a quiz. You can take it. And if you want to learn how to, get into dialogue with things that are just in your head, kind of torturing you, you can go to realtalkwithhilary.com and connect. And then my favorite is Your Bullshit is Your Blessing. This is all about techniques that I discovered when I was on I guess we could call it the mind side of life that we were talking about. When you're listening, everything seems bad. Like there's no hope. Everything sucks. I suck, just like what Andrea was talking about. And then I saw, wow, but there's another side of life that's really fun, where everything's possible. It's a lot of joy. How do I spend more time over there? And I became a nerd for finding techniques for getting me over to that other side of life. So anyway, this is a compilation of those. It's my favorite. I was trying to fix myself because I wasn't always happy. And then I realized, no, that's actually my superpower is my negativity. So anyway, check that out. You can find them all on Amazon. And now we're going to bring back Andrea Tait. Hello.
Right.
Cool. All right. Well, let's talk about the speaking that you do. Is that okay? And I know
Yes.
you have your book. Don't forget her book. If you want to learn how to love yourself back to life, this is available where? Where did they find this?
On Amazon.com.
Amazon.com.
Where everything else is purchased right now for Christmas. It's a great Christmas book.
Yeah, and it's little, so you can read it fast.
Let's read.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. How to convince your mind that you are worth loving. So, okay. So let's talk about your speaking. And where do you go to speak? Is it always at schools or who are you speaking to?
Yeah. So I said earlier about I'm doing professional development for staff. And so that started about 8 years ago, a little bit, getting heavier with that. And I just kind of reached out to our professional development team at school. And I said, I would like to start doing presentations for staff because what I see is teachers are stressed out and completely overwhelmed. And I feel like that I can bring them some strategies to improve their inner peace, mindfulness and meditation techniques, yoga, mindset change, and then other strategies and things to improve their life and decrease their stress and just help them feel not so overwhelmed. So that just kind of started organically. And I do about a professional development once a month at school. I'll do it in person or I'll do it on Zoom. I have people sign up and because teachers can get continuing education credits. So I get paid to do that per session, but I branched out to other school districts that pay me to do that. And I come in and speak on their conference days, different topics that I've developed in my Google presentations, which I love doing. But open to
what's Google presentations?
So, Google slideshow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I create all the slides and then I give a presentation.
And was that hard to start doing or it just happened organically? Like, oh, I want to do this and they let you. Like, it seems like that would be hard, no?
Well, I wouldn't say hard. I would say I just challenged myself constantly. I wanted to do it and I felt excited about it. And it's one of those things, and I don't know if you recognize this in yourself, Hilary, is the part of you that isn't fearful will say, hey, I want to do this, and then already contact that person. And then you're like, oh my God, why did I just say I wanted to do that? Like, why am I standing in front of an auditorium full of 300 people at a staff meeting? Why am I doing this? Because I was like, I have something to say. I know people can benefit from it. I want to help other people and I want to do it.
And
it's fun to do.
And you know that they're effective, right? How do you know that they're
because I get the feedback forms and all of that, but I'm trying to always give somebody some hope that there are ways and there's some strategies that you don't have to live a chaotic life. Like what you hear from teachers are, how are you? Stressed. How's home? Crazy. You can't have crazy at home and at work all the time. What's going on in your life? So we talk about the different ways to make your life load a lot easier and, improving your mindset, having gratitude, finding ways to have a growth mindset and bringing joy into your life. Having boundaries, conflict management. Those are all things I talk about in different presentations. And, just some tips and tools that people can integrate in their life that are just kind of normal thoughts that I have that people just have no idea. Like having boundaries is a big one that people just don't know how to have. And I just don't understand it.
So if I was a teacher and you said, how are you? And I said, oh my God, my home is crazy and whatever, too much to do
80%
here.
80% of the people I talk to.
What? And what would you say?
I'd say, well, let's talk. Like I also do, personal health and wellness coaching for staff if they want to hire me or talk to me, or they'll send me an email and I say, well, what's going on? Let's sit down and talk about what's going on with you. And then they tell me all the different things that are happening. And I would say, why are you doing all of these things that you don't love and enjoy? Well, I have to if no one else is going to do them. Is that true? What can we let go from your plate in your life? What are you saying yes to when you should be saying no thank you to? So I kind of start there. And a lot of times people just have relationship issues. They don't know how to get through them. That comes into work with them. And we talk about maybe how they can repair the relationship or things that they can change because you can't change another person. You can only change yourself. So we talk about having the remote control for your own life, changing your energy, your thoughts, your actions, and how that then translates to a different world outside of you once you start to change. So we talk about all the different things, and that also just kind of happens in the moment. But
So if I was, let's say, in a bad relationship or whatever, what would you tell someone?
well,
I don't know if you can just do it that way, but like if they feel like they're stuck, or I know a lot of people, like Christmas, they think they have to do X, Y, and Z, and they're nuts, and they don't have time, and they can't let it go.
yeah,
And I'm just like, don't do the little house with the things if it takes that long,
well, right,
and they're like, but I have to, like, how do you break someone of that? Or you
right.
don't.
Do they want to be do they want to be broken
Right.
up?
Right.
And I
Maybe
think,
they don't.
a lot of people that just like to say they're stressed and busy all the time, but they don't want to change, right? That's
Right.
kind of like are these books is, do you really want to change? If you don't want to change, then keep doing what you're doing. Keep,
Right.
derailing your life or keep feeling stressed and anxious. But if you really want to, then we can have a conversation, but you're going to have to give something up, right? You got to do something. It's like, I want to say, I want to lose weight, but I want to eat all this crap.
Right.
It doesn't going to work that way. It doesn't work that way.
I think that's the name of your next book. Keep derailing your life.
It doesn't work that way. That's what I'm going to call it.
Keep derailing your life. Keep derailing it. Someone,
Right. Bring it into the station or keep falling off the tracks.
right. Someone, she had someone say something really nasty to her, and she goes, everyone has a detractor, and you're mine.
Yeah. Sure.
And she said it shut the woman up.
God, that's a good one.
Because I think sometimes, like I realized today or yesterday, it's like some people are just nasty.
Yeah, for sure.
And we think, I thought it was me.
Mhm.
Like I thought, oh, like so hurt and a victim. But it's like, no, they're just nasty. Or someone says something inappropriate. I never thought it's them. I always somehow blamed myself.
Yeah. Everything's about us when it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
It's really not.
Right. When
There's a really good book, The 4 Agreements. Have you read that one?
yeah.
Don't take anything personally.
Right. I didn't like that book because
I know. I just think of that
I
one.
did take everything personally, and I didn't like it. But it's taken me a while to realize
Right. I know.
it's actually not personal. I don't need to be a victim. I don't need to hold on to it
No.
because it's actually not, right?
Right. And, another thing I like to tell people too is think about everything you do in one day. Just start to think about it, list it out. Just take some moments to do that. And what brings you joy and what sucks your joy in your life. Because if we start to get really mindful and aware of our energy and, oh, that makes me happy, that doesn't make me happy. This interaction is draining. This one makes me feel full. Like which one of the things in your life is sucking the life energy out of you? Because we only have so much currency, emotional currency. And if we keep spending it and giving it away, we're going to be completely depleted. And so it's like, what kind of life experience do you want to have? One that you're feeling depleted all the time? Because that's no fun. That's no fun at all. That doesn't mean we don't have to be around certain people, but we don't have to let that affect us all the time. And we don't have to do all the things because other people are doing them. Like, just enough of it. I just had enough. So I want other people to just have enough.
Yeah, I think in your book you talk about being asleep. And when you're asleep, you're just not aware of any of this. You're
no
just
idea.
doing it.
Completely
and when you're awake, you could say, oh, this doesn't really bring me joy, or this does. But if you're not awake,
you don't know how you feel.
You're not even asking. Yeah.
No, you're just in survival mode and you think everything that's just normal.
Right. I guess the question is, if you want to, if you don't want to keep derailing your life.
Right.
To become aware, to stop and pause and go, oh, you know what I mean? Like, how does one do that when you're not aware? I guess it's like, if you're not aware, you're not aware. You wouldn't even think to stop.
Right. It's blissfully unaware. Right. It's when you start to have that, oh my God, when you're sitting down and having those like, what is happening in my life? I don't like this. That's the moment of aha, of like, okay, you recognizing something isn't right. You're recognizing it because we just get so disconnected from our spirit and our self, like our
Yeah.
true selves. We're just these robots, and we don't know. But once that connection piece is made really quickly, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I don't like this. I've suddenly seen the light for a second. Something isn't right, and
Well,
that's
like,
the moment.
yeah, it's like taking back your power.
Yes, in all areas of your life.
But I think, I'm thinking back to the time of my book. I just felt so stuck,
Yeah.
like it was hopeless. Like I had tried everything. Uh, like
Yeah.
that,
Mhm.
And it
Yes.
wasn't until, like just take money. I was talking to someone who was saving his money and he was in really great shape. And I was like, oh, well, I can't, and then I was like, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Like it made me question, why not? Before I got married, I saved all my money.
Right.
Why can't I? It was a rule that I had to be honest and I had to tell him what I was doing. And I just said, you know what? That's a rule that can be broken.
Yes.
And I went and opened an account and started saving my money again. But it
Mhm.
took something for me to like wake up and go, wait, why do I have that rule? Do you
Yeah.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I have to be honest if it's not working for me?
Right.
You know what I mean? Not that you want to be dishonest, but being honest had gotten me down the path that I didn't want to go, where
Right.
my life wasn't working.
Yeah. I think that's the moment you just, and then honestly, I think it becomes this like I said, the spirit comes in and says
Yeah.
something isn't right. This isn't what you're supposed to be doing. This
Right.
isn't how it's supposed to be. You
And
know?
how, like, sometimes I think I used to get myself confused. Okay, is this spirit? Is this my instinct? Is this what? Huh? Like I couldn't decide if it was spirit or not. And someone said, it's spirit if it's joy. Like if it's uplifting, it's
Hmm.
joy. If it's torturing you and telling you you're no good, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
that's how.
I have that too. Like I every once in a while, but what I remember is, and it says it even in the Bible, like God is simple. It's
Mm,
just simple. It's not confusing. It's not diluted. It's not torturous thoughts. But what it takes me to do that, I'm in meditation and sitting in silence every morning for 2 hours. It's hard to be in silence. It started with 2 minutes, honestly, because once you're in silence, all the thoughts come, all the feelings come up, all the
mm.
stuff happens to you. But that was my way through. I call it the ring of fire. You got to get through hell to go through hell. And sitting there in silence and listening. Sometimes, it's this like monkey mind in the beginning. It's all this stuff and this garbage. And then after a while, it kind of recedes. And I'm like, oh, what's that peeking through? Clarity? That's clarity. Okay. What do I do with that? And then it was a daily discipline for me. I had to do it. And then it just became, that's where I meet God. That's where I meet my answers. And if I don't do that, I'm not grounded and balanced. And I always have to check myself, check in. Is what I'm doing and what I'm saying for everyone else and greatest and highest good. If it's not, then it's not of that.
Now, how do you sit for 2 hours? Like, I'm just thinking, what
I
kind of
just
chair can you sit
It's
in for
my
two
in the
hours?
morning, and it's in my bed when I wake up, and I just kind of
Okay.
sit up and lean back. I have my earplugs in and my mask on and my rosary, and I'm just like sitting there
2 hours. Like from what time to what time?
from like 5:30 to 7:30. Well, don't I get distracted for sure, but I'm always coming back, and I'm always
Oh, okay.
I feel like it's the I'm trying my best, right? I'm showing up every day.
Yeah, wow.
Sometimes they're crappy, and sometimes they're really good.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So God is simple, not confusing.
Yeah,
Clarity. That's really great. All right. So back to your speaking, we have about 6 minutes.
sure.
If someone wanted to find you, to hire you, where would they find you?
You can go on my website, and there's different things on there that links that say ways to work with me. And so
Okay.
all the headings of what I do in public speaking and workplace wellness is one of those you click on, and you can either send me an email or you can sign up for Setmore to, have like a free consultation conversation about what I do, and we can set up a Zoom meeting or anything like that.
Okay. So it's Andrea Tait Thrive.com. Is that your
Yes.
website still?
Yep.
Okay. So Tait is Tait,
Yes.
thrive.com. Okay, awesome. All right. And so let's say I was looking for a speaker. Why would I hire, like, what would be a reason I would hire you?
Um,
If I wanted what?
oh, if you wanted to workplace wellness to feel better, women's empowerment, uplifting, how to change your mindset. Did you want to talk about the different ones I talk about? Is that
Sure.
what you?
No, I just want to know, like,
Health and wellness,
if
talk
somebody
about
who's
how,
listening, like,
yeah.
if they're looking for women's empowerment, they could find you. If they're looking for workplace empowerment,
Yeah. We also
yes.
do parenting and social media, teen wellness, workplace wellness. Like I said, a lot. I do a lot of them for specific to teachers and stress and education, because I've been in education for 30 years. So I know what happens there, right? I'm in the trenches with that. And I think that's a big one. When you have a presenter talking, if they have all these letters behind their name, but they never did what you're, the people in the audience, you're not as legitimate. I feel like, I've been there. I'm currently still there. I just got, my arm pulled out of the socket the other day, or I'm on the ground with kids, or I'm doing whatever, and I see it. I have the meetings. I'm doing all the things. So I feel the stress that you feel. And I think being relatable is really helpful. I'm a mom, so talking about parenting. I've been through a divorce, so I talk about resiliency, getting through things that are really difficult, having traumatic health issues, having abuse in my history. So those types of things, I like 10,000 hours and having a lot of challenges in my life. I can at least connect with people and say, hey, I've been there too. Here's the ways that I got up off the floor, found my grit, got resilient, and now I'm still walking and living. And I'm here to tell you that you're not alone, and that if you need to have any skills that can help drive you in that direction to thrive in your life, call on me, because I'm here for you.
Wow,
So, and I, thinking being relatable to other people, what they're going through, I think is really important. I'm not perfect. And I've gone through my own set of everything, and I just like talk to people on a personal level. I think is really helpful. And it's hard to have a speaker in front of you that doesn't know and can't connect. And, I think that's really difficult for people, and they don't believe in that.
That's great. And if you, let's say you could speak to the whole world and give them your message, what do you see that the world would be like?
Well, you want my message? My message would be that staying connected with yourself and what's going on inside of you, and staying grounded in God, is the first place that you should start. Tuning out the outside world, because that constantly changes, and you are stable and grounded. Once you get in here and you connect with yourself, you can change your world. You can change your life, because when your mind is balanced and you're living congruently, spirit, mind, and body, thoughts and actions and emotions, then you really have a really fertile ground for an amazing life. And so I would like everyone to know that you can stay connected with yourself and call on God, and whoever that is for you, universe, source, God, whatever you're calling it, but having that spiritual connection with a higher power really lets you know that, you are here to do something, and everybody has a purpose. You just have to make yourself as strong as possible. And, feeling your best self is not believing in the negative messages, but believing in the most positive messages, and to feel as grateful as you can for everything in your life. And I think that was the other thing I wanted to say. Gratitude was a really big one that got me up off the floor many times, and being grateful for just the smallest things, being alive. Today I'm alive. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the house that I have, for heat. So many people don't have that in the wintertime. And so thinking about that, being grateful, elicits those positive endorphins that is just the opposite of being the fear-based thoughts and the negativity. So focusing on the small joys in your life really can uplift you and help you live a thriving life. And I think that's what would change the world too. When you change other people.
And if the world was like that, what would be possible?
For me or for everybody?
Either.
I think there would be less conflict. I think that there would be much more joy. I think the mental and emotional health of our children, our younger children, and our teenage children would be so much different. I think social media would be different because people would be mindful and reflective about what they're putting out into the world, and taking care of other people and having that empathy. And I think that it just would be a more peaceful, joyful place.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. Yeah, thank you so much for your message, for what you're doing, for getting off the floor, and for sharing yourself so really with us today.
Real. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, bye, everyone. See you next week.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode. I started getting real with Hilary when I discovered that I was a people-pleasing, pleasant phony and wanted to be more of my real self. We can grow together if you will like the show, subscribe to my channel, and share this episode with your friends and family so that we can have a world that's more real.